Good morning, guys. So just to reiterate what we said in our notes for today, we went over adding and subtracting integers, and we briefly touched on multiplying and dividing them, which we'll cover in more detail later on in class. The notes that we wrote after the integer song were how to change a subtraction problem into an addition problem. So there are 3 steps. First, you keep the first integer. Second, you change subtraction to addition. And third, you change the second term to its opposite sign. And we sang the integer song, same signs, add and keep, different signs subtract, keep the sign of the higher absolute value, then you'll be exact, and multiply or divide. It's an easy thought. Same signs are positive, different signs are not. These will be posted on Google Classroom, the notes on this page, these notes, the operations with integers. Again, we're just saying this stuff over and over so we can get it stuck in our memories to remember what rules apply to what operations and with the whatever given sign that we have. So I wanted to go over a couple examples for this one. Let me change my window. Okay, I want to go over these questions. So we have 8 plus 20. So number 1, 8 plus 20. Let's do 1 and 3. 17 plus negative 19. And then we'll do 2 and 4 from a different set of questions. Hold on, let me find a different set. Okay, I found 2 more. So we're going to label these numbers by their sign. What does that mean? If this is an 8 and it's a positive because there's no sign in front of it, I'm going to put a P up here. And then I'm going to put plus. This is a positive as well. And then I'm going to circle the number with the greater absolute value, which is this guy right here. So my answer is going to be a positive number. So if they have the same sign, I just add them like normal. 20 plus 8, and it's going to be positive, so I'm going to write 28. You can write a plus sign here if you'd like. It's optional, but that helps me keep in mind that this is a positive 28, and then make sure to have your answer stand out, and then I'm done. For number 2, so this is where these subtraction rules come in. Whenever I see a minus sign, I always want to make it a combination problem, so I want to make this addition. I'm going to force these rules onto it, and I'm going to say, okay, negative 15, I'm going to keep. Then I'm going to change this sign.
At this time,
Sorry about that. I'm going to keep, change, change. So this is a negative. Actually, no. Change the signs first. Negative 15 plus, now I'm going to add the opposite of 14. Which is negative 14. Now I'm going to apply the rules. So then I have a negative, squeeze in my N, and a negative here. I'm going to add them, and they have the same sign, so I'm going to get a negative answer. So negative plus a negative is still going to stay a negative because I've got the same signs, add and keep. So now I'm just going to combine 15 and 14 and then throw my negative sign in there. 15 plus 14, 4 plus 5 is 9, and 1 plus 1 is 2, so this is 29, and it's going to be negative. And then kind of write it in a space that I did not provide myself, but give yourself some space so you can clearly see your work, and so can I. Then down here, I've got 17 plus negative 19. This is not a subtraction problem, so I'm not going to have to change any signs. So I'm going to have a positive plus a negative. Then I need to find the greater absolute value. Here, the 19 has the greater absolute value, so my answer is going to be negative. And since they have different signs, I'm going to subtract the 2. So 19 minus 17 equals 2, and it's got to be negative. So negative 2 is my answer here. Here, I have a double negative. Whenever you see a double negative, this must change to a positive. So I'm going to take my 2 and then I'm going to say plus, and then the opposite of negative 8 is positive 8. So I'm just going to write 8, and then I'm going to solve it. So I have a positive plus a positive, circle the greater absolute value, is going to equal a positive. I didn't circle the greater absolute value over here, which would have been negative 15, and this was still negative, so I did the right thing. 8 plus 2 is 10, and again, this is a positive 10. I feel like I need to go over a couple more examples of these two. So let's say 5 and 6. All right, last two. So negative 7 minus negative 15. Remember, these two negatives need to become a positive, just like this guy did over here. So I'm going to change. I'm going to keep the first term, change the sign, and change this to the opposite sign, which is a positive 15. Now I'm going to apply my labels. This is negative plus a positive. And then I'm going to circle the one with the greater absolute value, which is 15. That's the bigger number here. And then I'm going to equal a positive number because this one's greater. Equals a positive. These signs do not always apply to addition and subtraction. I'm only doing this in relevance to this particular problem. I only do this over here in relevance to this particular problem. The reason why I wrote P plus N equals N is because I circled this N. This is my greater number, so therefore my answer is going to be negative. Over here I've got positive plus positive. This is my greater number. My answer is going to be negative. Down here, my greater number, my answer is going to be positive. So sometimes it will change, and if this is confusing for you, then just apply the rules without writing these labels. So I'm going to subtract these two numbers since they have different signs. 15 minus 7 is 8, and it's going to be a positive 8, and that will be my answer. The other way I could have done this is just saying negative 7 plus 15. They have opposite signs, so I'm going to subtract. 15 minus 7 is just 8. I could do so without the labels. 1 minus 6, I'm going to change this to addition, and then I'm going to make this a negative 6. So this is a positive and a negative, and I'm adding. And this is my greater absolute value, so my answer needs to be a negative. So I have 1 plus negative 6, and they have different signs, so I need to subtract. 6 minus 1 is 5, and it has to be negative. There's my answer. And another way you could have done this is just 1 minus 6. Change the sign and change the sign. Change the operation and change the sign. Then these have different signs. So negative 6 added to 1. I would find the difference between 6 and 1, which is just 5 again. And then this guy is my greater absolute value. So there's my negative number. Same answer.